Hello there, Ben Bowers, the Spirit Specialist, and as you can see, I am wearing a Christmas jumper because I'm going to talk about a Christmas product, and this time it's the Sixpence Pud Christmas Pudding Gin Liqueur. If the bottle shape looks familiar, it is from the same company, Gravity Drinks, that make the Snow Globe Christmas Gin Liqueur that you may have seen the video for. And this is new to the store. The Snow Globe's been around for the last 3 years since I opened. This is the first time I've managed to get this in. I think this has been available for the last couple of years, but I've only just managed to get some in. So Christmas Pudding Gin Liqueur, there. I've not even had any yet and I can't even say it. Christmas Pudding Gin Liqueur in a very nice little bottle. Now it's a 50 cl as opposed to a 70, but it is a little bit cheaper because of that. We don't have any of the gold flakes because of the pudding wrapping that it's got around it. Obviously with that cream that's running down the side, although I do like brandy butter with my Christmas pudding. So I'm not going to go into Gravity Drinks and who makes it and everything like that, so we'll just go straight into the tasting because it looks great, but obviously the proof is literally in the pudding. Hang on, no, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. That's the way the phrase goes. So let's see what this is like. There we go, pretty decent colour on it. Obviously there could be colouring added, there probably is, to be perfectly honest. Now it does say on the side of the box, it doesn't actually talk about kind of like how they make it. It just makes the humble figgy pudding that little bit prouder. Yeah, rich gin liqueur boasting notes of candied fruit, Christmas spices, vanilla and caramel, as you would hope it's being a Christmas pudding gin liqueur. Now, the danger with gin liqueurs in general is that they get too sugary and too sweet. People like sweet things. More people like sweet things. So if you are trying to make something and kind of compensate for the fact that maybe your base spirit isn't great, the way that you can overcompensate this and actually get more people to enjoy it is you just load it with sugar. You make it sweeter, you make it thicker, because more people like sweet stuff, so more people will keep buying it. It's why a lot of very cheap gins, gin liqueurs, liqueurs in general, spirits as a whole, tend to be much more on the sweeter side, because loads and loads of people, more people will kind of go for that and ignore the fact that underneath the base spirit and the other flavours that are there aren't that great. Now, what I quite like about the Snow Globe Gin Liqueur, the spiced orange and cranberry, is it's not particularly overly sweet. It's actually quite light and delicate, and it's possible that this could also be the case here. Now, some people might be expecting a Christmas pudding gin liqueur to be like eating a Christmas pudding, rich and thick and heavy and unctuous and kind of a little bit sickly. But, spoiler alert, this isn't. So, on the nose, light, fresh, dark fruit, dark spices, but still kind of light and zingy at the same time. There's a fresh orange note to it, like fresh orange juice, as well as there's cinnamon, there's nutmeg, there's a touch of clove, but right at the back. But it's not, I wouldn't say it's sweet. It's a bit like, do you know what it reminds me of? It's a bit like when you get those plastic bowls of Christmas puddings that you then either put in the microwave or you can steam them, but essentially not one in a is it Hessian bag? Whatever bag that it is that they put it in. Muslin cloth type thing. Not one of those that's wrapped up in that. But it's like you've just taken like the lid off one of those plastic bowls that you're either going to put in the microwave or you're going to put in a pan of water to cook the Christmas pudding. It's like a pre-cooked Christmas pud. It's got a slight dry note to it as well. And then on the palate, that absolutely comes through. Again, it's light. It doesn't feel particularly syrupy. I think some people would almost be surprised at how light in texture this is. I think a couple of people say, oh, it's a bit watery. It's not watery, it's light in texture. I think people see the word gin liqueur and expect something a bit more syrupy in the main. This is not syrupy at all. What it means is that this is incredibly versatile. But I think for some people, it might be a bit too light to be drinking on its own. Some people like that syrupy feel as a liqueur on its own, whether it's over ice, they put it over ice and then it dilutes it down and then it becomes watery, weirdly. But it doesn't have that syrupy sugar solution that I think some people maybe want from a gin liqueur. This actually has a lighter texture to it. You get that spice, that soft spice. You get orange, you get raisins, you get sultanas in there. There's that little dry note as well, almost not quite burnt edge, but there's a little dry note as though it's like the edge bits of the Christmas pudding. But for me, it's all about that lighter touch. It's the fact that it's not syrupy. It doesn't have a really kind of like, you can even tell just swilling it around, it doesn't come across as like a syrupy gin liqueur at all. And I really like the fact it does that. Now, as I say, what it means is that it's versatile. Very, very pleasant. It is one that as it gets warmer, that sort of edge that's coming through tends to get a little, you kind of lose the fruitiness that's coming in. So I would recommend definitely just keep the bottle in the fridge, pour it from the fridge. But it does also go really well with fizz. Now they do recommend drink as an aperitif in a glass of Prosecco or as a digestif over ice at the end of your Christmas feast. So I have some relatively cheap Prosecco, a little bottle of Co-op's Prosecco, and I'm going to put some in there. Try and pour it so that it doesn't go particularly crazy. It's Christmas, so let's have some fizz. There's a lot of head in there. I did not pour that particularly well, so let's give it 2 seconds. Now, so I did this with the Snow Globe, and I did it with, I did the Festive 75, where we did the Snow Globe Gin Liqueur. Gin Liqueur, who's Gin Liqueur? Gin Liqueur, Snow Globe Gin Liqueur with egg white, simple syrup, and cranberry juice. And then we put the fizz in, and he had a really nice head on it, and it was fruity, and it was luscious, and it was very, very festive indeed. So this is Co-op's own Prosecco, which on its own is all right. It doesn't have a lot to it. It's a bit kind of dull, a bit ordinary, but let's put a little bit of this in. Now, I actually filmed another video for this, and unfortunately, I ran out of space on the phone. So I've put a little glug in there, maybe a little bit too much, slipped a little bit. But, so, I've just put slightly too much in there, unfortunately, because what this gives you, if you put a touch of the Christmas pudding, it takes it to one of those colours where it looks like a sort of an aged vintage champagne. So, we've now got Christmas pudding gin liqueur in a relatively ordinary bog standard Prosecco. And on the nose straight away, it just warms it up. It gives it depth, it gives it richness. And then on the palate, totally transforms it. You get that warm fruitiness. You get that soft spice in with the bubbles, in with the wine. And what I would do, if you've got somebody in your family that's a bit of a wine nerd and a bit of a champagne snob, is get some cheap Prosecco and put a dash of Sixpence Pud in your fizz. Because what will happen is it will change that bog standard Prosecco into something really, really nice. And I think it's going to fool some people into thinking that you've got a really good quality vintage champagne. Because that Sixpence Pud gives you fruit, soft spice. It increases the fruity level within the wine. It makes it so drinkable. It doesn't turn it into a Christmas pudding fizz. I wouldn't necessarily call this well, no, it's a cocktail because it's a mix of a spirit and a wine, and you've mixed it together and you've changed it into a completely different drink. But I wouldn't call this, oh, here's a new cocktail from the spirit specialist. It's a Christmas pudding champagne. It doesn't turn it into a Christmas pudding flavoured champagne. It turns a very cheap fizz into something that people could easily think is a very complicated, very old champagne. It's really, really drinkable, dangerously so. I'm going to have to put the rest of this in the fridge and maybe save it for later because it's early in the morning and I shouldn't really be drinking that much fizz. But it totally changes both the Sixpence Pud and the Prosecco that you've got. and it'll work brilliantly in parties. If you literally just have a bottle of cheap fizz, one of those on a table, champagne glasses, and either pour them for your friends, pour them for your friends beforehand, give it to them and go, oh, what do you think of this? Oh, that's an amazing champagne. Well, actually it's this. Or just leave it on the table and let people help themselves. They'll want to try the Sixpence Pud on its own, but then they'll add the fizz to it and you've got an even better drink. I actually think it's better with fizz than it is on its own. It's decent on its own. It's not too bad. It's not expensive. It's $19.99 at the moment, down from 25 quid. It looks nice. It does the packaging justice. It's the same as the snow globe. It's not the most amazing drink in the world, but as a Christmassy treat, it does exactly what it needs to do. It's enjoyable. It's not too sickly. It's not too sweet. Everybody's going to like it. It tastes like it should, but it will make also other drinks. It's got the versatility to make other drinks that will make parties and everything even more fun than they're already going to be. So, the Sixpence Pud. Lovely box as well. I think it's absolutely beautiful. That bit does come off. $19.99 down from $24.99. It is available in store, but also through the website, www.spiritspecialist.com. I highly recommend it. I also highly recommend the Snow Globe Gin Liqueur as well. Merry Christmas, everybody. You might be watching this in early November and thinking it's far too early, and I kind of agree, but it'll be here before you know it. So if you're watching this close to Christmas, I hope you have a good one, and I shall see you in the next video. Cheers.